All right. We are on to the Dominaria United Multicolored, and this has no comments. We're going to start with the uncommons. We have Aaron Benalia's Ruin. 2 white and a black for a 3/3 legendary creature, Phyrexian Human. Has Menace. A white and a black. Tap it, sacrifice another creature you control. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. I feel like this is absolutely bonkers with the go wide. Sack 1 creature to give everything a +1/+1 counter, and it's a 3/3 menace for 3. You're most likely not casting this on 3, but that's fine because it's double white and a black. It's very mana restrictive, but I think for this to be an all-star in your deck, which it definitely could be, you need to be very focused. I think this is just a solid first pickable card as far as multicolored cards go. I think if this deck holds its weight, this could definitely be better than removal. I'm going to give it an 8.
I'm probably at a 5 on this guy. It's very hard to cast. If you're in that deck, you got to be solid 2 colors for this. And then you're talking about going wide with this thing, but it kind of takes away the creatures that you're trying to go wide with. So you're really kind of going mid with it. Really you're just kind of fueling a couple of creatures up with this thing. And it doesn't even give the counter to itself, which it has evasion, and you kind of want that on it. It's kind of weird. This guy's so aggressive, but yet you want to use his ability.
It does give the counter to itself.
Each creature you control. Yeah, I guess that's pretty good. I guess I can bump it up to maybe a 6 then, but yeah, I don't know. I just think it's not. How many counters does it take before this thing is good? Probably 2.
0. 3/3 minutes for 3? 0.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a 6.
I have it at 6 too. I don't like it. It's probably okay though.
Next up, we got Baird, Agravian Recruiter. 1 red, 1 white for a 2/2 legendary creature, human soldier. At the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature with a power greater than its base power, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. Yeah, this is just good. This guy's gonna trip most of the time. I don't think it's that hard to do this thing. And if you're starting to get tokens out on 2 with this dude, it's pretty nuts. It's definitely a 6. Solid Senpos.
I agree with Andrew. I think it's like a 6.
I also have it as 6. I think it's pretty good.
Okay. Next up, we have Balmor Battle Mage Captain. A blue and a red for a legendary bird wizard 1/3 with flying. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain trample until the end of turn. I think this is an 8. This is broken. It's got flying. And it gives your creatures trample too. This looks disgusting. This is probably what I think is going to be like one of the better build around uncommons.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. You're good. I'm right there with you. I'm at an 8 on this as well. Given your little Kiln Fiend wannabe, an extra +1/+0 and trample, it's going to be insane. So, and it's a flyer. You cast an instant, it's a 2/3 flyer. That's amazing already. So in the deck that's made for, it's going to be one of your better bombs, and your opponents are going to be really scared of it. So I'm right there with you. I have it at an 8 as well.
Yeah, I got this guy at 8. This ability is just really good. It's unfortunate that it's legendary. I'd love to have 2 of these out. My gosh, it's just perfect for that deck. It's a threat every time. Anytime you got mana up, this guy's a threat. It's great.
All right, next up we have Bortuk Bone Rattle. This is 4 mana and a green and a black. For a 4/4 legendary creature with domain. When Bortuk Bone Rattle enters the battlefield, if you cast it, choose target creature card in your graveyard. Return that card to the battlefield if its mana value is less than or equal to the number of basic lands among lands you control. Otherwise, put it into your hand. I'm not super high on this card. I know, if you're in the domain deck, it's obviously going to be way better. But in your general 3-color deck, you can get anything back, but you only put a 3-drop into the battle. I guess 6 mana for a 4/4 and a 3/3 is good. I'll put it at a 6.
Yeah, this is a 2-for-1 every time. This guy's just, at least it's 2 creatures in one. Those things are always pretty good, and at 6 cost, that's kind of what you're looking for, is more bodies on the board. And maybe getting back some sort of value creature that you had earlier. It's fine. 6.
I have this at 8. I think it's better than premium removal. Like the fact that you could get something back onto the battlefield too. And it's a 4/4 for 6. This is just value.
All right. Alos, Ilcor, Sadistic Pilgrim. 1 white, 1 black for a 2/2 legendary creature, Phyrexian Core Cleric. Death Touch. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. This guy is just good. Solid. Gonna want it in that deck. Just works. I mean, my gosh, we love these kind of blood artisty type effects, so great for me. It's a 7. It's going in my deck every time.
I have it at 7. I like it. It's okay. I probably won't play it very much. I like the Is It One better, but it's solid.
Yeah, I also have it as 7. If this deck is the real deal, which it's looking like it's about to be, it might even be higher, but for now I have it as a 7.
Yep. Next up, we have Garna, Blood Fist of Keld. 1, a black and double red for a legendary 4/3 Berserker. Whenever another creature you control dies, draw a card if it was attacking. Otherwise, Garna Bloodfist deals 1 damage to each opponent. Seems like it combos with the last card pretty good. This seems okay. I like it better than the last one, but not by much. I'd probably still put it at like maybe a 7. Drawing cards is good though.
Yeah, this is just what you want in your Rakdos deck to curve out with on 4. Then you start swinging with them, and you get to draw a card when they die. This card's very good. I'm gonna start it off at an 8.
Yeah, I'm right with you at an 8. If this thing's like, if they're curving out and this is the end of the curve, I'm probably losing that game. This thing is just gas. You block them, they block. I mean, my gosh, it's value every step of the way with this card. It's just really good, solid 8.
All right, next up we have Lagomos, Hand of Hatred. This is a colorless black-red for a 1/3 legendary human shaman. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 2/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. And you can tap it to search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Activate only if 5 or more creatures died this turn. The 5 or more creatures dying would be somewhat hard to do, but still a scary effect in an aggro deck. Just being able to search for that last little bit of face damage could be huge on a go wide board, and the 2/1 constantly attacking will be annoying. I'm gonna give this just a solid 6.
I'm at a 7. It just automatically starts attacking right away as soon as you play it. You're getting that 2/1 haste there. This is fine. It's a 7.
Yeah, I have it at 7 too. It's the token seems like it might be relevant. Even if you just sacrifice it, I think you're gonna get some value out of this. 7.
All right, next is Niall Avizoa Aeronaut. 2 colorless, 1 green, and a blue for a legendary elf scout. 2/4 creature with flying and domain. Whenever Niall Avizoa Aeronaut deals combat damage to a player, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Put up to 1 of them on top of your library and the rest at the bottom in a random order. If there are 5 basic land types among lands you control, draw a card. This is good. It's a 7.
I have it at 8. I like it. I don't know how well it's gonna play, but you could really get there with this, you know? It seems really scary whenever you're facing this thing down. I got it at an 8.
I'm at a 6 on this one. I'm not super scared it has to deal with combat damage to a player to get its abilities off. And you just get to put a card on top of your library unless you have full domain. Obviously, in the full domain deck, this will go up somewhat, but in your general deck, I think it's not super great. It's a 6.
Next up, Najal, the Storm Runner, which is 2 double blue and a red for a legendary 5/4 wizard. You may cast sorcery spells as though they had flash. Whenever he attacks, you may pay 2. If you do, you can copy your next instant or sorcery spell. I think this is probably gonna be kind of good. I probably have it at like a 6.
I think I'm at a 7 with this. Just bringing all those sorcery spells up to a flash level in this deck is going to be super good, and the ability to pay 2 to copy your spell is going to be super good in the hyper aggressive blue-red decks. He does cost 5. That's a bit of a drawback for those decks, but I think he's going to be super good.
Yeah, I like this guy as 7. I like when you get to play some extra magic cards at different times you're really not supposed to play them. I like that if you have 5 mana to cast this guy, you're able to probably copy any of the relevant spells in that deck. And so it's a 7 for me.
All right, next up we have Queen Alanal of Rudok. It's 1 green, 2 white for a star legendary elf noble. Queen Alanal of Rudok's power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control. If 1 or more creature tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus a 1/1 white soldier creature token are created instead. Oh man, I really want to like this card, but I wish it could have at least been a 0/1. I do think it's going to be good, but I wish it just had some sort of insurance if you ever had to play it on an empty board. For that reason, I'm
Still
only
1/1.
It's a 1/1.
Still 1/1.
Yeah, that's true. It is still a 1/1. I'll give it a 7. I think this will be very good.
Yeah, cards like these are normally pretty decent. Yeah, it's pretty cool that you get a little bit of payoff with the extra soldier to kind of keep beefing it up, and so it becomes normally these things become a threat pretty early too if you can get it down to that high price of entry there. And so I think it's pretty good. And if you're around this deck, I think it's probably a 7.
Yeah, I have it at 7 too. Seems alright.
Alright, next you got Rada Coalition Warlord. 2 colorless, 1 red, 1 green for a 3/3 legendary creature elf warrior. Domain. Whenever Rada Coalition Warlord becomes tapped, another target creature you control gets +X until the end of turn, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Yeah, this thing's just, oh man. Yet another line of these red-green Gruul type cards that are just going to get in there. This guy's just good. I like him. 6. I think it's having to have another creature is probably lowering it down a bit.
Yeah, I have it at 6 too. The fact that it's basically going to die because you kind of have to suicide him in to get a big creature. I
Not
don't
within the
know.
list, baby.
That's true. That is true. I have it at 6.
Yeah, I mean, I have it at 6, but I think in the focus and list deck, it's obviously much better. But I have it at 6 as well.
Next up, we have Raph, Weatherlight, Stalwart. A white and a blue for a 1/3 human wizard. It's a legendary too. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control. If you do, draw a card. And then it's got 3 and double white creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain vigilance until the end of turn. This card makes absolutely no sense to me. like this is just a slew of weird abilities. You're kind of suiciding yourself by tapping your creatures. I don't know, but you're drawing cards. I'm gonna play it every time, but I don't think it's right. I would give it a 6.
This is your commander for the draft counter deck, right?
Yeah,
Like,
this
this
is
is
gross.
this is your old school white blue flyers with some counters, or just like random defenders. Like in the defenders deck, could be disgusting.
Yep.
But yeah,
I
I'm at
would-
a 6.
Oh, I'm at an 8 with this guy. Anytime I'm playing instant or sorcery when it says kick or tap 2 untapped creatures to draw an extra card, I'm down for that. That is going to be, especially in the decks that probably are going to want to play this that are more control-y oriented, just having an extra draw a card on your spells is pretty good. And then you get the bonus of actually just this guy can end the game out too. When you finally get that critical mass from all those cards you drew with those creatures, start giving them +1/+1, and then playing those really cheap instants to tap them down, then drawing more cards off that. Oh yeah, this guy's just gas every step of the way. 8.
All right, next up we have Rona Shouldered's Faithful. This is a colorless, a blue, and double black for a 3/4 legendary human wizard. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 1 life. You may cast Rona Shouldered's Faithful from your graveyard by discarding 2 cards in addition to paying its other costs. Any card that you can just keep coming back, chuck a couple lands, pay 4 is going to be mediocre at worst, but it could be up to very good. When you cast an instant or sorcery, each opponent loses 2 life. I don't think is too huge. I think this is just a flat out 6. It's pretty solid. You'll bring it back sometimes. Other times you'll be too busy doing other things.
Yeah, I think a 6 is pretty good where this is at. I think it's nice to have that little bit of life loss in your black-blue decks. Normally they have some sort of evasion that is kind of ticking away at you, and so this is another kind of way to tick. But, it takes a lot to keep this thing fueled. It's nice that you can actually bring this back, with all those lands at the end of the... when you kind of get bogged down there, you just hold them lands at the end to bring this back. Just get another throw on the board is pretty good. 6.
I have this at 5. I think the fact that it only hits your opponent for 1 and doesn't gain you an extra life is kind of a cost. I also hate that you have to discard 2 cards. Seems like a pretty real cost to me. I'm just gonna give it a 5.
All right, Rulik Mon's Warren Chief. 1 colorless, 1 red, double green for a 3/3 legendary creature goblin with menace. Whenever Rulik Mon's Warren Chief attacks, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land, you may put it into the battlefield tap. If you didn't put a card into the battlefield this way, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. So it's kind of along the lines of a goblin guide in that kind of way. It's nice that it has evasion, so you can kind of get that going. And so it's going to trade up. I mean, this guy's you're getting blocked by this. He's probably only really getting that ability 1 time. It's a 5 for me.
I have it as 6. It seems okay, but it's a real cost to put in your deck. Just from the mana. Mana cost, pretty specific.
Yeah, I have it at 6 as well. I mean, I think it's solid. 3 minutes for 4 is solid. You might get an attack or 2 off of it. If you're in green-red, you probably got a trick or 2 to protect it at least 1 combat, but it could definitely be solid.
All right, next up we have Tatiova, Steward of Tides, which is double green and a blue for a legendary Merfolk Druid 3/3. Land creatures you control have flying. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands, up to 1 target land you control becomes a 3/3 elemental creature with haste. It's still a land. I think this is probably this is amazing. I got this at 9. The fact that it gives them flying is huge. It seems really scary.
9 when you play 50% of the lands in your deck.
You're ramping. You're ramping if you have this in your deck, right?
I mean, you have to be to put it in your deck, but that to me that doesn't make it a 9. To me that makes it a 3/3 for 3 for most decks, right?
I take this over removal, right?
I don't know. I don't. I think this is a 6. If you're building into it and you're doing the thing, that's fine. But if you don't hit this card, then your deck's kind of bad.
I think it's a build around 9.
Oof, yeah. I think this thing's an 8, and that's pretty solid. This Tatiova is really good. Once you start getting to that 7, now all your lands are spelled basically at this point. once you hit that 7 threshold, this guy is just completely gassed.
Your lands are good spells, right?
Yeah, I mean, and they got haste too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just insane, the value that you're getting off this person. I mean, it's nuts. Yeah, 8. Wow, yeah. One of the better uncommons I've seen.
Oh my goodness.
It's cool, Ryan. You gave
You guys
the
are-
flesh
Yeah,
taker
you're going to lose this card and you're going to wonder why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll lose to this card 1 out of 3 games in a series. 1 out of 3 games in a series when you build around it.
Yeah, it's still a 3-3, right?
Yeah,
3-3.
it's a 3-3 on turn 4 or 5, yeah?
You
On
just-
turn 3.
Blue?
What'd you give the Warren Chief?
An 8? Or,
Okay,
no,
and
the
that's
chief.
a
No, the
3/3
Chief's
for
a 6. The Chief's a 6.
Jesus,
Give it a
6?
A 4 mana 3/3 you just gave a 6, and you gave a 3 mana 3/3 a 6 too?
Yeah, but like the Chief's gonna get to do his ability, and Tatiova's not. So that's a big difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have Tori Diavanu. Avana. I don't even know how to say it. You say this. I'm not even gonna lie. Anyone? Anyone know how to read this?
Nope. You got it.
Tori D. Avenant, Fury Rider. 1 colorless, double red and a white for a 3/3 legendary creature, human knight. Vigilance Trample. When Tori D. Avenant, Fury Rider attacks, all other attacking creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Other red attacking creatures you control gain trample until end of turn. Untap each other white attacking creature you control. This card is super good. Vigilance Trample 3/3 that buffs your whole board. It doesn't buff itself. It's probably going to die in combat. Hopefully you can protect it a little bit. I think it's a 7.
Yeah, I think it's a 7. I mean, just getting in there with the red attacking creatures, getting trample, and then your white creatures untapping. There's value there. Yeah, like it's a 7. Scary.
I have it at like a 6. It'll be scary in the right decks, right?
All right, now you got Tora Kinnarood Sky Knight. 2 colorless, 1 white, and double blue for a 3/3 legendary creature, human knight. There's kind of a theme going on with all these legendary creatures in the uncommon. Flying, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/1 white soldier token creature. Thank goodness this doesn't make 1/1 flyers. Oh my gosh, yeah, cards like these are always pretty good, just giving you some payoff. I mean, it's just kicker for all your instants and sorcery spells. And it's decently costed. I think it's a pretty solid 6 and 7, the more instants and sorceries you have in your deck.
I have this at 6. I think the flyer's a little uncosted, but and the fact they don't have flying kind of rubs me the wrong way.
If they had flying,
Maybe a 8.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, like I feel like the defender deck is easier to draft than whatever deck this is trying to be, right?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck this card is doing. Like
Like if it was blue-red, sure.
I think you're trying to go 3 colors with this, right? At that point, you're drafting into that. Is it plus? What is it? What's the
Jeskai?
Jeskai? You're drafting into Jeskai at that point.
I don't know. I mean, 5 mana for basically a flyer that doesn't do anything until you cast your next instant or sorcery, which is probably not going to be the same turn that you cast this. I'm 6 trending towards 5. 5 mana for a 3/3 flyer is not really where I want to be. I need to get at least a soldier or 2 for this to be worth it.
I just think when you untap with this, like if you ever get to untap with it, I think now that the fear gets in there.
Yeah, I mean, the fear would be just a lot scarier if it wasn't 1/1 ground soldiers to me.
Yeah, they were flyers. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, if they were flyers, I'm with you.
Kudos for them for having restraint, not making flyers with this thing.
Yeah,
alrighty.
I'm at a 6.
Next up, we have Urg Spawn of Turg, which is the worst name I've ever heard.
That's the best name.
I fucking
That is
hate
the
it.
best name. Hit us with it.
I hate this card. It's a double black and a green for a legendary frog. It's an X5. Whatever. Its power is equal to the number of land cards in your graveyard at the beginning of your upkeep. You may look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into your graveyard. You can pay 2 mana to sacrifice the land. You gain 2 life. This is like a 1. Fucking terrible. Don't play this.
This truly is a spot of Turg.
Yeah, that is a fact.
Yeah, this is pretty bad. Sack a land to gain 2 life. 3 mana for X5. Yeah, this is a 1.
It's a 1. I think it's actually a 4. I think it's a 4. I just like that it just gives you scry 1 or not even scry, what's it, surveil 1 every turn, just for it being existing. And then it's already a pretty decent defender in that deck, especially with these black-green decks. They kind of want to go more towards the higher end of the curve, so it's getting you there. And then eventually it just fuels itself and actually gets you to the late game with that 2 life. I'm actually even convinced myself it's probably a 5. Yeah.
You're getting to the late game by sacrificing lands?
Yeah. Just by living and fueling this guy.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you're still like getting to the late game too by surveilling 1 every turn as well. I think that's pretty decent ability.
You can have it, Andrew. I'll just get to the late game by playing lands.
I think a 3 mana 0/5 that surveilled 1 every turn would not be very good. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like it just fuels itself, and then at the end, like once you get to about like 7 lands, that you just start ripping the lands off the top of your decks, throwing them in there, and just drawing gas.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like it's your gut feeling. I respect it. It. All right. Next up, we have Vohar Vidalian Desecrator. It's a blue and a black for a 1/2 legendary Phyrexian Merfolk Wizard. Phyrexian Merfolk Wizard. This thing's pretty metal looking. You can tap it to draw a card, then discard a card. If you discard an instant or sorcery card this way, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. You can also pay 2 and sacrifice it. You may cast target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard this turn. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Activate only as a sorcery. So this is a 1/2 that lets you loot for a little while and then copies a removal spell to kill something that you need it to kill. I think this is definitely serviceable. Maybe even more so. I'm gonna give it a 6.
I'm a little down on it because I like the looting portion of it. The discarding instant or sorcery, I don't know how many times you're really going to do that to get the 1 life and the lose life. It's nice that it allows you to get something back in the late game, and you can do it instantly, which is really nice. You just sack it immediately.
You can only activate as a sorcery.
Oh, shoot. Well, I mean, still, that's pretty good. But I mean, to just play it and then just do it. You don't have to wait. It could get bolted or something like that, or lightning strike, I guess, down. And so you can just sacrifice it, which is pretty nice. Not in response to it, but just, you hold priority there. Yeah, I don't know. It's 5. I think it's just going to be played if you're in black, blue, and this just comes up, you're just going to play it. It's good. It's not getting cut.
Yeah, I have this at 5. It's mid.
All right, next up you got Zara Oyanin, Scion of Ephraimah. It costs 3 colorless, 1 green, 1 white for a 4/4 legendary cat warrior. Domain, whenever Zara Oyanin, Scion of Ephraimah becomes tapped, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with a toughness less than the number of basic land types you control. Yeah, this is just a brutal curve topper for any of those go wide kind of strategies. This guy's a must answer. It's a 6.
I have it at a 7. Seems pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I have it at a 7. Even if it just attacks once and puts a counter on half your board, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's worth it. Okay. Are we on to the next one? Johnny? Are you guys all on to the Rares and Mythics?
Yep.
Next up, we have a Johnny Sleeper Agent. 1, a green Phyrexian, green white, and a white. And it has completed, which is like the Phyrexian mana mechanic. And if you pay that cost, it enters with 2 fewer loyalty counters. And it's got a +1, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature or planeswalker card, put it into your hand. Otherwise, you may put it on the bottom of your library. A -3 of distribute 3 +1/+1 encounters among up to 3 target creatures. They gain vigilance until end of turn. You get and then the -6 is you get an emblem with whenever you cast a creature or planeswalker spell, target opponent gets 2 poison counters. Pretty random. Kind of seems kind of less good than most planeswalkers we see, but I'd probably still give it like a 7. If you're in this colors and you open this, you'll probably play it.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with 4 loyalty or 2 if it's a 3-drop.
Yeah.
So, I mean, generally 3-drop planeswalkers are very good. This one doesn't really protect itself. Kind of has a whole lot of abilities, none of them that are super amazing. It's be hard to cast. I feel like 5 creatures after you alt this, because you're not looking to alt it till turn 6, 7, maybe. That's without it ever being attacked. I think I'm going to start it off at a 7 as well.
I'm pretty low on this. It's a 4 for me. It's nice that it's a planeswalker, but it has just no way to defend itself. You know, you got to have creatures to make it even remotely defend itself a little bit. I don't know how many times you're going to whiff on that ability for the +1. Yeah, I just don't see it happening.
All right, next up we have Astor, Bearer of Blades. It's 2 colorless and a red-white for a 4/4 legendary human warrior. When Astor, Bearer of Blades enters the battlefield, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal an equipment or vehicle card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. The equipment you control have equip 1. Vehicles you control have crew 1. That feels fairly uneventful. We haven't really seen any vehicles, I believe. Or equipment? Have we even seen any equipment?
Yeah, we got artifacts.
Yeah, but there's no like colored ones. You know what I mean? So there are probably a couple of artifacts, but to me, this guy's basically a 4/4 for 4, which is fine. I'll have him at a 5.
I probably got this guy at a 7. I think if you have any kind of equipment or vehicle in your deck, you're probably hitting it out of that 7. So you're already getting a card and putting it in your hand. And then it just lowers that equipment cost or that crew cost to a pretty reasonable amount there. So probably the next turn when he's ready to attack, you're equipping it up or you're crewing it up. I think it's a 7. I think it's still getting a 2 for 1 out of there. You're just drawing a card with it.
I have it at like a 6. It seems okay.
Alright, we got Urtai Resurrected. 2 colorless, 1 blue, 1 black for a 3/2 legendary creature Phyrexian human wizard flash. When Urtai Resurrected enters the battlefield, choose up to 1. First choice. Counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Its controller draws a card. Choice 2. Destroy another target creature or planeswalker. Its controller draws a card. This is a solid 8. What a Swiss Army knife. It just does it all.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. Like, I have this at 8. It's the bomb. You're always 2 for 1.
This is not a 9?
It would be a 9
good.
if they didn't get a draw card.
The draw card would be insane. You can counter your own just terrible triggered ability to draw a card if you want.
Yeah, you can get it on your own.
Or like a bad
obviously you're not gonna yeah, like your own just terrible triggered ability. Sacrifice your 2/1 at the end of at the beginning of your end step. Obviously you don't want to do that, but you could. If you really need a card.
That would be sick. That would actually be sick because then you get to keep your 2/1.
Yeah.
What about yeah.
Yeah, that's cute. I like it. 8.
I'm gonna go with 9. I think it's super good. I mean, it's removal on a stick with flash. Yeah. Super good.
All right,
hyper efficient.
Next up, we have Ivy Gleeful Spell Thief, which is a green and a blue for a 2/1 fairy rogue legendary creature. with flying. Whenever a player casts a spell that targets only a single creature other than Ivy Gleeful Spell Thief, you may copy that spell. The copy targets Ivy. I like it. It's a 2/1 flyer for 2, and it's really tricky and confusing. I give it a 7.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with an 8. It's cute enough.
It's cute. I like it.
It passes the cute test for sure. You know, you give that you put this in your domain deck and you give 2 things +5/+5 for 1. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 8. 2/1 flyer for 2. Sign me up.
I think it's probably like how many real pump effects are you gonna have in your deck with this thing? You know, I mean, obviously, if you have it, I guess you try to up it, but then you're getting 2 for 1 out might really be a thing there. It makes their removal so much better. I don't know. I'm at a 6.
No, because it's a May ability.
Oh, you may copy. That's still.
Yeah.
The copy targets her. I mean, either way, even if it targeted her or whatever.
If they put a pump spell on one of their creatures, you can put it on your Ivy.
Oh, that's pretty
It's
good.
really confusing.
I thought it was just only spells on creatures you control. Oh, that's pretty interesting.
And aura spells, too.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably at I mean, all these cards in this uncommon or in this rare kind of spot are like, yeah, I'm at a 7 then. It's a good creature.
All right, next up we have Jorah, Ageless Innovator. This is 1 blue, 1 red for a 2/3 legendary human artificer. You can tap it, put 2 ingenuity counters on Jorah, Ageless Innovator. Then you may put an artifact card with mana value X or less from your hand onto the battlefield, where X is the number of ingenuity counters on Jorah. I don't really usually like the blue-red artifact decks. Like, I'll do them if they're good enough, but I'm not super in for this. I'm sure there'll be some decks that stop with it, but the majority of the time it'll be a 2/3 for 2. That might get a cheat something into play once or twice. I'm gonna give it a solid 5, but 6. It's a 2/3 for 2. It's at least a 6.
I'm at a 3 on this thing. I don't know if the payoff for artifacts is good, and I don't even think a 2/3 for 2 solid colors of mana is even worth it. No, it's a 3.
Yeah, I have it at 3. The text box is just daunting, and I don't like it.
2/3s for 2 are 3s? What?
Yeah.
They're at least 5s.
This is hard to... What?
It is a 2/3 for 2. But it's a vanilla 2/3 for 2. It's like a 3 for me, a 5 for me.
I don't think it fits into that. I don't think it fits into the deck that you want it to really play in, too. Like, if you're going red, if you're going Izzet, you're probably going spells. I just don't see this. I don't see it.
It's a 2/3, though.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not where I'm wanting to go with my 2/3s. Just have a vanilla something in there.
What if it was a 2/3 flyer?
Of course!
It's a
2/3 flyer for 2? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we're going to the 7 territory.
That was just for the memes.
Oh, okay. Alright, next up is Joda, the Unifier. 1 white, 1 blue, 1 black, 1 red, 1 green. Legendary creature, human wizard, 5/5. Legendary creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. Whenever you cast a legendary spell from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a legendary non-land card with mana value less, so Cascade. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost, put the rest in the bottom of the library in a random order. Well, if you're looking for that major 5-color payoff, this is probably it, but I just don't know how many legendary creatures you're going to have to fuel to this. It's going to take a lot of uncommons and rares to get there. Yeah, I just don't see it. It's probably a 4.
Yeah, I have it at like a 3. It's not good.
You guys are definitely gonna like try it once, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna play
Oh
it.
yeah,
I'm gonna
obviously.
put this in my deck.
Yeah,
That's
like
If I crack
sure.
one pickle in this, I'm definitely playing it.
I would put this
Yeah.
in my deck with 0 other legendary creatures just for the flex of being able to cast it with my amazing mana base.
it is
For
a 6/6 for 5.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
it's good.
5/5 for 5. It's a 5/5.
No, it's a
Yeah.
6
Oh,
that pumps itself.
yeah.
All the uncommons are legendaries. All the mythic or the multicolored uncommons are legendaries. It wouldn't be that hard to get a couple of those.
Yeah. I'm gonna play this and flex on some people, but it's not
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I'll set it at a 4. But yeah, you definitely gotta be in the Wooburg deck. First pick 4.
Oh, yeah.
All right, next up we have King Darian, and I can't read the Roman numerals that high. LV111. I think that's like I don't even. I'm not even gonna attempt
48.
that.
If I had to guess, my guess is 48. Isn't
Oh,
L50?
Who among us is a math teacher?
All right, it's 1 a green and a white for a 2/3 legendary soldier. Other creature you control get +1/+1. For 5 mana, you can put a counter on it and create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. And you can also sacrifice it. Creature tokens you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Probably like a 7. Seems alright.
Yeah. I think it's fine. You can sack it to save your tokens from some stuff. Definitely not the black -2/-2, but it's definitely fine, and it's a really good mana sink late game. It's probably a 7.
Yeah, this feels like a 7 if your opponent can't answer this. I mean, you're just not playing spells anymore and just using this ability and building up a crazy board. You know, with this guy as the main finisher in there. Yeah, it's just good. Yeah.
All right, next up we have Maria, Scholar of Antiquity. This is a colorless, a red and a green for a 3/3 legendary elf artificer. Has an activated ability that says tap an untapped non-token artifact you control, add a green. Tap 2 non-token artifacts you control, exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. Yeah, that seems like it's solid. If you can get a couple artifacts, I know there's a couple artifact creatures. I don't know how many of them are in red green, but at least that 03 wall was an artifact creature. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a solid 6.
I don't know how good the artifacts will be in this, and I'm not sure if how many creatures are wanting to tap to do stuff. I don't know. It's a 6 for me. I think it's just decent, and sometimes getting to play an extra card is going to be really good on this.
Yeah, I have it at 6 too. If you could get all mana off it, that's cool.
All right. Nemeta Primeval Warden. 2 colorless, 1 black, 1 green for a 3/4 legendary creature tree folk with reach. If a creature an opponent controls would die instead, or exile instead, when you do, create a 1/1 Sapperling creature token. 1 green. Sacrifice a Sapperling. Nemeta Primeval Warden gets +2/+2 until the end of turn. Or you can pay 1 and a black, sacrifice 2 Sapperlings to draw a card. This is just going to take way too much work to get it going. I think it's probably a 5.
You are egregiously wrong. I have this at an 8. If a creature your opponent controls would die, like if that just happens, Andrew, for 4 mana and it has reach, you get a 1/1, which you can sacrifice to draw cards and give stuff +2/+2.
Get 2. Give him +2/+2. I mean, just
Yeah, for a mana,
dude.
that's like a good combat trick. This is super flexible. I like this card. I have it at 8. The bomb.
Oh, it's not a bomb, but it ain't no bum either. You know, this is a 3/4 reach that might get you a Sapperling or 2, and if it gets you 2, it's gonna get you a card. You got to pay 2 mana to get the card. And sack both the Sapperlings, which at that point, I don't know. I mean,
You can
I'm gonna
block.
put it.
You can block with them.
It's a lot of work for a card.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 6 though. I mean, it's still a 3/4 reach. Stuff's gonna die. I mean, just like what's gonna happen more? Are you gonna have a 3/3 flyer that's in white blue and you're gonna cast instants and sorceries, or your opponent's creature is gonna die more? You know what I mean? This is way better than that.
Yeah. I think you're just getting one sapperling off this dude, and then you're just kind of happy.
All right, Andrew.
What's up?
All right, Andrew. I'm going to give you a life lesson. Anything worth having, you have to work for. It's amazing. It's an 8. Next up, we have. I can't read this. It's gonna get me canceled. I'm not reading the name of this card. It's a 2 white and a black. It's legendary zombie wizard. It's a 3/3 with vigilance, ward 2. Other zombies you control have vigilance. Whenever another legendary creature you control dies, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's not legendary, and it's a 2/2 black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. I don't know how good this is. I would assume it's probably like a 7. I don't know how it will play out. This is like dependent on the format, how good this is.
The white black deck is gonna be straight gas. It's gonna be so good.
Obviously,
Obviously,
this legendaries.
This only triggers with the legendaries, but I'm gonna have a few. I think it's a 7.
I think it's a 4. You're gonna need a lot of parts to make this good, and it's not just. I don't think it's good on its own either. For a 3/3 for 4, vigilance ward at a rare, you'd expect a lot more out of that.
Feels like an uncommon for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, next up we have, and I ain't scared to read it, Rith Liberated Primeval. 2 colorless, red, green, white, 5/5, legendary creature dragon. This has flying, ward 2. Other dragons you control have ward 2. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature or planeswalker an opponent control was dealt excess damage this turn, create a 4/4 red dragon token with flying. This card is absolutely busted. You're making a 4/4 the turn you play it. This is a 10.
Yeah, this is a 10. Let's move on. This thing is busted. Yeah. Ravaz of the Claw. 1 colorless, 1 black, 1 red for a 3/3 legendary creature, Vishanu Warlock. Menace. Tap. Add 2 mana of any combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast dragon creature spells. Once during your turn, you may cast a dragon creature spell from your graveyard. Whenever you cast a dragon creature spell from your graveyard, it gains. When this creature dies, exile it. Oh man. If you got any kind of dragon in your deck, this thing's pretty good. It's already a 3/3 menace, which is good stats on its own. And then if you have any kind of dragon, this is just extra gas. Yeah, oh man. I almost want to give it, I think I'm going to give it a 9.
Yeah, I have this at 6.
You're tripping, Andrew. 9?
Really?
Yeah.
It's a 3/3 menace, like on its own. And if you have one dragon in your deck, this thing's or 2. I mean, you're just getting extra dragons. These dragons.
This is a 9 in your deck if you have Rith. But like other than that,
it's probably a 10 if they have Rith because you're getting Rith on turn 4, right?
You draw both of your rares, sure.
Yeah, this is pretty nice. I don't know if are there any common dragons? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I'm in for the 3/3 minutes for 3. Don't get it twisted. But that's, to me, it's like pretty blank besides that.
I think anytime you can get another spell out of it, it's pretty good. And then if you have just more dragons somehow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm going with 6 as well. I mean, 3/3 minutes for 3, I'm going to take it every time, but...
Yeah. I mean, it's more of an 8. It's probably an 8, yeah.
Next up, we have Shana, Purifying Blade. green, white, and blue mana for a legendary 3/3 human warrior with lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay X. If you do, draw X cards. X can't be greater than the amount of life you gained this turn. Oh, this is really confusing. Probably like it's a 3/3 for 3 with lifelink. It has to live through combat to trigger itself. I think you're going to be able to do it at least once. And if you can, if you can, like you could get there. I don't know. It's like a 6 for me.
There's a ton of incidental life gain in those colors. There's like
Yeah.
a ton. I
Yeah.
think it's 8 Virgin on 9, honestly. I think it's super good. I mean, how many cards do you have to draw off this thing for it to be good? 1 or 2?
One.
Yeah.
And then it's like a 8.
It's gonna sit back and block all their 2/2s and gain life. I mean, and you're gonna gain life on your turn and pay like you channel your card that you can search your library for a land and gain 3 life and then pay 3 and draw 3 cards. That's like an insane turn. I know that's a crazy line because they're both rares, but I think it's an 8.
Yeah, probably 8. I mean, it's going to be really hard to cast, but I think that ability is pretty good, and there's a lot of incidental gain 1 life here, so there's a lot of incremental stuff you can get off that.
All right, next up we have Solkanar the Tainted. This is 2 colorless and a 1 blue, 1 black, 1 red for a 5/5, so 5 mana for a 5/5. And Grixis, this is a legendary elemental demon. At the beginning of your end step, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Draw a card. Each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. Or, I'm sorry, let me start that over. Choose one that hasn't been chosen. Draw a card. Or, each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. Or, Solkanar the Tainted deals 3 damage up to one other target creature or planeswalker. Or, exile Solkanar and then return it to the battlefield under an opponent's control. I think by the time you've done all 3 abilities, you're pretty much stomping pretty hard. I mean, I'm not really scared of giving this to my opponent 3 turns after I play. I think I'm going to just use it to win the game. Although that is a very real cost if you can't win the game and finish with it. So for that huge drawback, I'm going to give it an 8.
It's a 9. 5/5 for 5. Good abilities. And if they can't, I mean, you just bounce it back to your hand in these kind of colors. You can kill it. I mean, you've gotten so much advantage off of it. And if they're not dead before you give it to them, something's gone wrong.
You can probably sack it too with a lot of these colors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, I have
probably
it
9.
I have it at 8 too. Seems good. It doesn't protect itself really, but it's a 5 mana 5/5 that does a million things.
Yeah. I think the best thing about it is it triggers immediately. Like, cards like that are traditionally very strong. You get it, if it just gets to the end step, you're already drawing a card off of it, so you replace itself. That's pretty good.
Or lightning bolt and something. So
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Yeah,
too.
there's every single one of those. Except for giving it to your opponent, they'll do that at the end turn. They'll choose out, and that's the worst. Alright. Soul of Windgrace. 1 colorless, a black, a red, and a green for a 5/4 legendary cat avatar. When Soul of Windgrace enters the battlefield or attacks, you may put a land card from your graveyard onto the battlefield tapped under your control. 1 green. Discard a land card, you gain 3 life. 1 colorless and a red. Discard a land card. Draw a land card. 2 and a black. Discard a land card. Soul of Windgrace gains indestructible until the end of turn. Tap it.
It's not draw a land card, it's just draw a card for the
Draw a card. Draw a card. Oh, draw a card. Yeah, this is good. I mean, just above average stats, and just wow. I mean, my gosh, this guy's pretty good if you fueled your graveyard throughout the game, which you probably have. And then these abilities, it just turns on all the dead cards in your hand once you play it. It just takes over the board. Solid 9.
I have it at like 8. Seems good.
Yeah, I'm with you at a 9. I mean, you just hold your lands for the rest of the time and discard them and then play them back after you attack with this thing. So
Yeah.
get value out of it. Either give them indestructible or draw a card, whatever you want to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
It's a solid 9.
Next up, we have Sten Paranoid Partisan, which is 1 and a blue for a legendary 2/2 wizard. As Sten Paranoid Partisan enters the battlefield, choose a card type other than creature or land. Spells you cast of the chosen type cost 1 less to cast. You can pay 1, a white, and a blue to exile it and return it to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. I have this probably like a 6, maybe a light 6. It's really annoying to deal with, but might be a 7. I'll have to play with it to really know.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to make your instants or your sorceries or whatever you needed to make cast a little bit less. I mean, it's definitely fine. I'll put it at a 6 as well.
I got it at a 5. It's just going to be a solid role player.
All right, next up we have Zur, Eternal Schemer. This is a white, a blue, and a black for a 1/4 legendary human wizard that is flying. Enchantment creatures you control have Death Touch, Lifelink, and Hexproof. You can pay 1 and a white for an activated ability. Target non-aura enchantment you control becomes a creature in addition to its other types, as base power and base toughness, each equal to its mana value. Man, that's a huge payoff, but that's a hard deck to build, I think, an enchantment deck. Though there are several pretty good white O-ring type enchantments. I don't know. I'm not super high on this. I'm going to give it a 6.
Yeah, the last thing I want to do is give my O-rings and make them creatures.
Hexproof creatures with Death Touch and Lifelink?
Hexproof? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not really high on this guy. You gotta have a lot of pieces to this dude. He's probably...
Alright, welcome to Dominaria United Colorless. We're going to start off with the commons. We have Automatic Librarian. This is 3 colorless for a 3/2 artifact creature construct. When it enters the battlefield, scry 2. Scry 2 for 3, that scries 2. That's serviceable. You're not super excited to play it. I'm going to give that a 4.
It is a 4 to me. Long line of scry creatures.
Yep, I have it at 4 too. It's going to be nice in like the janky domain decks where you have bad mana, but it's okay.
Alright, next up you got Meteorite. 5 colorless for an artifact. When Meteorite enters the battlefield, deal 2 damage to any target, and then you tap and add 1 mana of any color. This is a 4.
Yeah, I have it at 4 too. You don't want your mana rocks to cost 5.
Yeah.
I'm here for 3. It's even worse than that.
Yeah. So next up we have Salvaged Mana Worker, which is 2 mana for a 1/3 construct. It has 1 for 1 mana, add 1 mana of any color, activate only once each turn. And it's a 1/3. I like it. You'll probably play it sometimes if you need it with janky mana bases. I'd probably give this like a 5.
I feel like I'd rather play this than off-color basics in my weird kicker color decks. Like, I'd rather play a couple of these than off-color basics, but maybe I'm wrong on that. I'll give it a 5.
I'm at a 4 on this. I mean, it's a 1/3. It's nice that it fixes your mana, but I think you're going to find that mana fix is going to be a lot easier to find than this guy.
Okay, next up we have Shield Wall Sentinel. It's 4 colorless for a 1/3 defender. When Shield Wall Sentinel enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a creature card with Defender, reveal it, put it into your hand. Oh my goodness, this is the hero we didn't even know we needed.
Yeah.
This is like a solid, in the Defender deck, this is like a solid 8. In every other deck, it's kind of bad, but if you're getting this past you late, you're moving in. It's a build around 8.
Yeah, I have this at 7, but I love it like an 8.
I'm going to love it when you guys both go defenders and you realize that a pod can only support 1 defender. player. I mean, this is, and I can't wait to you guys go in Defender on packs 1 and 2, and then I take just some random good defenders out of pack 3 or something, or just slowly hate them, and your just decks just go into shambles.
Then we'll have good decks.
Yeah, no. I think the defenders really only support one player at the table, and you gotta be able to really read the table. But that being said, I mean, if you got the defender deck, it's probably a 7, just because it's a tutor. And in any other deck, if you have one defender that you haven't drawn, probably a 4. But I mean, that's really generous. It's probably more of a 3, actually. All right, next up we have a Vanquisher's Axe, 1 colorless. For an artifact equipment, equipped creature gets +2/+0 with an equip cost of 2. This is in the line of Bone Splitter. I'm going to give it a 4. That extra equip cost is going to be rough.
I have this at 3. You're going to know when you want this, and when you do, it'll be okay, but not ever where I want to be.
For the 1/1 tokens and the flyers, you don't want this for your 1/1 birds for your defender deck? Oh,
Nope.
It turns them all into threats.
I want more defenders.
There's only a finite amount of defenders. All right, I'll put this at 5. Next up, we have the common tap lands. These are.
Oh, that was me. My bad. My bad.
You're good. You want to take it? You can.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay.
Next up, we have the common tap lands. They're just your basic tap lands that enter the battlefield tapped. What is different about the ones in this set are they are labeled like basics. So, like the Dimir one will be an island and a swamp and etc. I'm a huge fan of these. They're gonna help turn on domain. Like this is the domain enablers.
Realistically, in a high, high diamond mythic draft, how high do you have to take these to get them consistently?
I think probably in the first. I don't think you table these.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really hard to table these, especially as the format shapes out a bit. These things are going to be really good. I feel like you're going to be needing to splash into a lot of other colors. Like you're going to have a 2-color deck that's probably splashing a 3rd color. Yeah, I think that being said, I mean, they're really good. I mean, you're talking I really like that they printed these here. They're 10 out of 10 just in flavor-wise for the set. You know.
I mean, I think you have to value them at almost right under that removal threshold, right? Like almost that 6 threshold.
I have them at 6. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, next up we have Crystal Grotto. This is another land. When it enters the battlefield, scry 1. You can tap it to add a colorless, or you can pay 1, tap it, and add a mana of any color. This, interestingly, does not enter the battlefield tapped. And it filters or just gives you a colorless and allows you to scry 1. I think this is fine. It's not really what you're trying to do when you're in Dominion, because it doesn't give you the basic types, but it is pretty good for the random color kickers you're going to have in your deck. I think your first copy will take it a little bit higher. I'm going to put this at a 5.
Yeah, I think it's a 5 or a 6. I think it's probably more closer to 5. You're wanting to have one of these in your deck. If you're going to have one, probably not 2.
Yeah, I have it at 5. It seems solid. You're going to want one in some circumstances.
All right, next up we have Hero's Heirloom. 2 colorless for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature. Oh, these are now uncommons, by the way. Equipped creature gets +2/+1. As long as an equipped creature is legendary, it has trample and haste. Equip 2. This is decent. I like the extra toughness that it gives. I rated the other one a 4. This is probably a 4 too.
I'm up higher on this than the other one. I think it's better, but I give this one a 4.
Yep, I gave the other one a 5. I think I'm at a 5 on this one. I would definitely pick it over it though. It's a 5.
Oh yeah.
Next up, we have Inscribed Tablet, which is a 1-mana artifact that has 1 tap, sacrifice it, reveal the top 5 cards of your library, put a land card from among them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library. In a random order, if you didn't put a card in your hand this way, draw a card. I think this is like a 6. It's like a cantrip that can get a land, and if you don't want to get a land, you can also just draw a card. Seems pretty good.
Yeah, I'm also at a 6 with this. I mean, you only need it when you're fixing. I don't think you just jam it in every deck, but it's definitely solid.
It's 5. It's probably making the cut.
All right, next up we have Joda's Codex. This is 5 colorless for an artifact. It has domain 5. Tap it and draw a card. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each basic land type among lands you control. So if you have full domain, you're just tapping this and drawing a card every turn. This could be what your domain deck wants to do, but it also feels a little greedy. With that being said, I think it's solid. I'm going to give it a 6.
It's a little clunky at 5 to start drawing cards like that. I think it's probably a 4. I think you're probably dead before this thing really goes off, unless you're really slow control.
Yeah, I have this on like 7. I like it. I like it. I've taken this over removal every day of the week. Like, it's just like if this comes down and your opponent can't deal with it, you just win, right? Like, this is just a game-winning card. Like,
at 5, though, that's a pretty steep cost. Most of these things normally cost like.
If I put this in my deck, I'm domaining, right? Like, and then I'm just drawing cards every turn. Like, you can't. It's so hard to deal with an opponent who's drawing an extra card every turn. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Can you put this in a deck that has like 3 colors that you maybe have 2 multicolored lands to splash a 4th?
If it's slower, yeah.
All right, Relic of Legends, 3 colorless artifact. Tap to add 1 mana of any color. Tap and untap the legendary creature you control. Add 1 mana of any color, so you get 2 mana out of this, which is kind of cool. I'm kind of seeing this nice legendary sub-theme here, which is kind of nice on these things. Anyways, it's just a pretty decent mana rock. I was 4.
Yeah, I have it up for it. Like, you'll play it if you need a mana rock.
Yeah, you're going to be super excited to play it when you first pick the 5-color Wooburg guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you can tap as many untapped legendary creatures as you want to add as much mana as you want, but that's not really a draft thing. So, yeah, it's a 4.
Next up, we have Walking Bulwark, which is 1 mana for an 0/3 golem with defender. And it's got 2 mana until end of turn. Target creature with defender gains haste, can attack as though it didn't have a defender, and assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. It's a bomb. It's a 7.
Activate
defender
only as a sorcery.
Yeah.
You can't block with the combat damage.
Yeah, but still. Like, this is what defender decks want. You want this in your defender decks, right?
Oh, yeah. 1 mana for a 0/3 defender that hits them for 3 on turn 2? What? Yeah.
This is sick. Yeah. We love this. It's a 7 for me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously in the defender deck. Is it fine outside of the defender deck? Because, I mean, there's a 3/3 for
Probably
1.
Probably not.
It's a 3/3 for 1.
Yeah, you can target itself.
It's like a bad stuffed bear, right? Like if it's not in the defender deck. Yeah, it's worse. It isn't a defender deck, but it's super good in the defender deck. It's probably a 7, maybe an 8 in the defender deck.
What is it outside of it?
Like a 4.
This is probably a 3. I mean, it's just never making the cut without having the deck built around it.
What do you give the bridge? I feel like this is better than the bridge.
Yeah.
The one that taps a creature?
Yeah.
Yeah. This activate ability is cheaper.
Yeah, but this doesn't take out the biggest creature on the board.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's aggro. It's for the aggro defender deck.
You know who the biggest creature on the board is? Their life total. I'm just kidding. All right. Next up, We're into the rares and mythics now. We have Golden Argosy. This is 4 mana for a 3/6 legendary artifact vehicle. Whenever Golden Argosy attacks, exile each creature that crewed it this turn. Return them to the battlefield tapped under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Crew 1. So this lets you bounce your guys, get your ETB effects in again at the cost of leaving them tapped. It also lets you cleanse your guys from... I guess there's no pacifisms and stuff, so never mind on that. It does let you get rid of the stun counters, though. 3/6 vehicle for crew 1 that lets you abuse some ETBs. Seems fine. I'm going to give it a 6.
Yeah, I'm at a probably 5 on this. 5, 6. Seems pretty good.
Yeah, I'm at a 6. The fact that it has 6 toughness, like, it's going to be hard to kill.
Yeah.
You know, you're probably going to be able to do this more than once, so I think it's... Like, you're going to have to build around this. You don't just put this in your deck for no reason.
Actually, I'll go to a 7 on this thing. I think if you're being able to kind of blink these creatures out, return them to the battlefield. Yeah, you exile them when they're crewed, then you get the blink effect back onto them. That's pretty good.
It's not optional, though, so you can't crew it with tokens, which is kind of sad.
And it's only when it attacks you get to exile them, so that's also...
I mean, when you not attack with this thing, it's a 3/6. It doesn't skill, right?
Sure.
Like, yeah, I think just if you have anything with value on this, the thing is getting out of hand pretty quick. Yeah. 7 from here. Alright, next we have Karn Living Legacy. 4 colorless. For a legendary Planeswalker Karn, it starts off with 4 loyalty. Its +1 ability is +1. Create a tapped Power Stone token. It's an artifact with a tap. Add a colorless mana to your mana pool. This mana can't be spent to cast a non-artifact spell, so only artifact spells on that. -1, pay any amount of mana. Look at that many cards to the top of your library. Put one of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of the library in a random order. And its ultimate ability is -7. You get an emblem with tap an untapped artifact you control. This emblem deals 1 damage to any target. This is unfortunate how unplayable this card is in draft. I'm sure it's probably built around and constructed, but it's definitely a 1.
I would say like a 5. like I could see scenarios where like it's pretty bad, right? It's still a planeswalker and like
it's not even that bad, is it? Like you can use its mana for activated abilities, you can use it for other things.
You can use it for can you use it to like do the scry thing with them?
Yeah.
Okay,
you just can't use it to cast a non-artifact spell.
That's like a 6. Yeah.
Oof, man. I hope you guys play this and I just destroy you guys.
Oh, man.
You're going to be sitting there with just all these
I'm going to be pinging you for 1.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This thing's never going to really ultimate. Okay.
It's a target. Yeah. You could probably ultimate this. It's got to live for 3 turns.
Give me a 8.
Yeah, please tap out every turn all your mana to draw 1 card.
It's kind of trifling.
Give me an 8. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Oh no!
Little Power Stone tokens to do some just little extra artifacts things. The threat of activation is real. They have to attack it. That puts them on the clock. If they don't attack it and kill it, they're gonna lose. Because even if you only have 3 artifacts that can ping stuff for 1,
I've seen so many good artifacts here.
I mean, like attack it or lose. And if you don't have good attacks, you're gonna lose bodies. I'm like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean?
This guy just does nothing on an empty board. He's a terrible top deck.
I mean, you top deck them, you get to draw a different card. That's fine. And they still have to deal with it.
Like, if you help, man. Nah, I don't know. I'm just down on this guy. I think he's going to be getting distracted, but I just don't want to be lured in by it just being a planeswalker.
He's not going to be a 1. I'll tell you that right now. He's going to be playable. You're going to put him in any deck that you draft him in.
I mean, I'm probably taking him because he's probably going to be worth, like $5 or more, but I don't know.
You're not just jamming it? You're not going to jam him?
No, why would I?
I'm 100% jamming them.
Oh man, yeah. I feel like I might as well just play Mana Rock at that point.
All right, next up we have Karn Silex, which is 3 mana for a legendary artifact. It enters the battlefield tapped. Players can't pay life to cast spells or to activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. And then it has X, tap, exile it, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 6 or X or less. Activate only as a sorcery. This is a sick board wipe. Put it at 7. Maybe an 8. It's like a 7.
It's like a 10,
Kind of
right?
slow.
Like you can kind of
No.
just pick whatever you want to
Yeah,
do and
this
you
is
just kill it.
this is a 10.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
A 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to control what dies. Somewhat, right? Like you can keep your thing if it's
Sort
bigger.
of.
You can wipe the board. I mean,
But if like you're behind, right? You're
like it's still Wrath at 4. It's still Wrath at 4.
Yeah, I think it's strong.
I have it at 8. I'll go up to 8.
Like if you play this, it just changes the game. I don't know. Your opponent's scared of it the entire time too. Next up, we have Timeless Lotus, 5 colorless for a legendary artifact. Enters the battlefield tapped, and you can tap it to add Wooberg. This is a pretty good little, ramp. Gets you from 5 to 7. 10 gets you to gets you all 5 colors, but I'm not super high on it. I give it a 5.
I give it a 3. There's really no. I mean, what do you really need? You need 2 more mana to get to the spells you really need. What do you need 10 mana for? You're just going to double spell at that point, which is pretty good, but I don't think it's worth it for just that.
I'm gonna triple spell.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this at 7. I'll find something to do with the mana for sure. Don't worry. I got it.
Okay, good. All right, next we have Weather Light Completed. 2 mana, colorless. For a legendary artifact vehicle, it's a 5/5 when it's crewed up. Flying. As long as Weatherlight Completed has 4 or more Phrysis counters on it, it's a Phyrexian creature in addition to its other types. Whenever a creature you control dies, put a Phrysis counter on Weatherlight Completed. Then draw a card if it has 7 or more Phrysis counters on it. If it doesn't, scribe 1. Wow. So this just kind of sits around and then is a looming threat. And it's just scrying you cards until it starts drawing you cards. Yeah, it seems pretty good. I think there's a lot of payoff for this. It's definitely like a 7.
I have it like a 6. It seems like, I don't know. It might be too much of a cost, but once it gets to 4, you have a 5/5 flyer for 2. Yeah, but it's a lot of work. Like I think you have to. I don't think you could just put this in your deck and it will just work. I think you have to like actually build around it to some extent.
I feel like in your green-white decks, this is a pretty big payoff on too. And it's just sitting there just scrying you, and then it starts drawing you cards the more tokens you create.
Yeah, I think any creature heavy deck, even like the sack deck, is going to be kind of sick.
I think the sack deck wants this, right?
Yeah, I don't think you're having a hard time cutting this from a lot of decks unless you're really going into that heavy control deck with a light creature load on it.
Yeah, I think if you're in like classic control or maybe even blue-red spells matter, it's probably the only 2 archetypes you're cutting it.
I think this is probably like a 3 in the defender deck.
Nah, your creatures are going to trade and die.
Yeah, even your defenders are going to die. Especially when you're making
there's defenders that let you sack.
There's
defenders that let you sack to draw.
6. Yeah, I think a 5/5. Yeah, 5/5 flyer is definition he's at too. That is pretty strong.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have the Pain Lands, which are basically they come into the battlefield untapped and they tap for a colorless, or they tap for one of the. Is that the allied or I can never remember.
Yeah, they're allied.
Tap for one of the allied colors and deals 1 damage to you. They're okay. I'd give them like a 5. I think they're less good than the other ones. Maybe even a 4.
I'll give him a solid 6. I think you're gonna want him if you're playing multicolored, but they don't give you the domain. Maybe you're right. I'll give him a 5. Give him a 5.
Yeah, I'll give them a 5. They're fine. I like when you can get a little choice there.
The fact that they ping you isn't free though. That's my only hesitation with them.
Yeah, in constructed it hurts more than in this. It's not gonna really. I don't think it's gonna make too much of a difference.
Next up, we have Plaza of Heroes. This is another rare land. You can tap it, add a colorless. You can tap it, add 1 mana of any color and spend this mana only to cast a legendary spell. You can tap it, add 1 mana of any color among legendary permanents you control. Or you can pay 3, exile it, and target legendary creature gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. This is kind of not really where you want to be, I don't think, unless you're in the legendary stack. I'm gonna give it a 3.
Yeah, I think it's a 3. It's gonna probably be more of a colorless land every time you play it. Most of the time, and a little bit of upside.
Yeah, I have this at 3. You're only gonna play this if you get it for free. But
Actually, I'm gonna move it up to a 4. I think there's enough uncommon legendary creatures out there that would actually help it out, especially with those double-costed guys. It's probably worth it, and even to protect them too for that one turn. Yeah, it's probably moved up to a 4. Just thinking about those uncommons.
Yeah, you could probably splash a couple of them with it.
Yeah, I think it actually moves it up a little for me. All right, and last up we have Thran Portal. It's a land subtype gate. Thran Portal enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer lands. As Thran Portal enters the battlefield, choose a basic land type. Thran Portal is a chosen land type in addition to its other types. Mana abilities of Thran Portal cost an additional 1 life to activate. I don't know.
I don't get it.
Yeah,
This is a pain land. This is a
Yeah.
pain land of any one color you want it to be.
Yeah.
But it comes in the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer other lands.
I like that it's a basic land, which is pretty nice. Oh man, this is really tough to. It's probably just like a 5. I think it's nice to just have the tutor kind of on demand there, or a color of any mana on demand there.
You have to pay 1 no matter what, right?
Yeah, it's like a freaking with like a City of Brass.
I think it's a 3, maybe a 2. Give me a basic instead, I guess. I mean, obviously, if you're 5 colors, it's going to go up a little bit, but
Yeah.
I have it at 5. I still think it's better than the pain lands. The fact that it has a land type attached to it helps you more.
Yeah, you can get that final piece of domain that you're going to need, or stretch it out if you're kind of in that 4 color and you don't really have that 5th one. Yeah, it's got a lot of flexibility. It's a 5.
Yep.
all right. Well, thanks for sitting with us for a billion hours doing our limited set review. Anyone that made it through this, you're basically an official pack mate. So good on you.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah, it was a good sit, and I hope you join us for the next one. Look us up on our Twitters and social medias. Like and subscribe. Yeah, like and subscribe.
Right, let's get a team howl real quick. You guys ready for this? Little pack mates on 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Ooh.
Ooh.
You're fucking done.